Welcome to At Home with Kelly and Tiffany, where naturally minded women gather together as we pursue simplicity and confidence in health alternatives so we can show up better in our busy lives and feel more at home in our bodies. Join your favorite home birth midwife duo for conversation, candor, and community.
You're at home with Kelly and Tiffany.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Tiffany.
And here we are again. It's another Monday.
I love Mondays.
I think there's two types of people in the world. Those who enjoy a Monday, enjoy like the fresh start, and those who wish that it was the weekend still.
I mean, you can love the weekend and love Monday.
But, sometimes people wake up and they're like, I don't want to be up on this Monday. I enjoy getting up on a Monday and being like, this is going to be my week.
Brand new opportunity to try to do more than is humanly possible.
And fail miserably.
But there's always next Monday.
It's true.
Yeah, I think that's the spirit of Monday. Truly. Like, I massively missed the mark last week, but I am just hopelessly optimistic that I can try again.
It's a new opportunity.
Okay, Kelly, have you ever listened to just the first 5 minutes of an episode and then had to turn it off for whatever reason and never, ever, ever come back to it?
Like a podcast episode? Probably too many times to count.
That's a thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
and it's not because I'm not interested in what it has to say or whatever, but it's just like, oh, I got to get back to this. And then it keeps taunting me or something on my podcast app, but I just have come back to it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I believe that there are people out there who listen to our podcast accidentally only for the first couple minutes. So I want to be sure that if that is anyone who is listening now, that they know we have an awesome free training on postpartum hormone balancing.
And if you're going to turn off this podcast and come back to it later, give yourself like 45 more seconds to be like, tell me more about this training.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it more at the end of the episode, actually.
So stick around.
But jump on our website so that you can collect all the information about this awesome class that we're doing because it's happening in 4 days. 4 days. So if that's you, if you are the chronic, turn the podcast off accidentally early, you have not missed this information.
Congratulations. We are rewarding you in your inability to finish a task.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're just giving you some information so that you can make the best decisions you can for yourself and those that you love.
Yeah, I'm going to put some information in this course. I'll just add it to some place, some of the module somewhere that talks about how to be better at finishing podcasts.
That's on the top of my priority list.
It'll get worked into the content somehow.
Great.
We have 2 reviews to read.
Oh.
I was just feeling like I could use a boost.
Great.
But actually, we got a good amount of beautiful, wonderful, kind 5-star reviews.
5-star.
And so sometimes we got to double up because
we gotta buy some people drinks.
And we are itching to do it. We are itching to buy a drink for anyone who leaves a nice review. If we read it on the show, we will literally buy you a drink. So you say, hey, I heard you read my nice 5-star review on the show.
Now give me my drink.
Now. This one is from Cave Girl.
Oh.
It is called Valuable Wisdom and Laughter.
Oh. Do you think that she's like paleo? Is that Cave Girl?
Maybe.
That's where my brain goes.
Okay. Or maybe she literally lives in a cave.
Maybe she's a cave diver. Cave diver? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She dives down into caves and listens to great podcasts. I love this.
I would work with her.
So adventurous.
Yep.
Okay, this is what she says. It's a long one. Ooh, I love them. I love when you guys share a story in the review. It is so rich. Cave Girl says, okay, so here is my story.
Starting out good.
I already know these wonderful women, and I knew about this podcast for at least a year or more, and yet I didn't take time to listen, which makes me feel horrible.
You should.
Perfect. That's right where we want you, Cave Girl. I recently binged my way through every episode, and now I just feel stupid. What? It's getting better and better. With my terribly painful period issues, I could have definitely benefited from all of this wisdom years ago, and it was right at my fingertips this whole time. This podcast has so many helpful ideas and information. I started implementing many of their suggestions, and I am so hopeful I will be able to change and heal my body. Kelly and Tiffany talk about things that we all should know, and somehow we don't even talk about with our closest female friends. When they speak, you can plainly see that they are on a mission to change the phenomena with the humor and love. I commend this for every woman. Love, Sandra.
Adventurous in her own ways, not a cave diver.
She's not a cave diver,
No.
but I didn't want to ruin it for you.
Okay,
I wanted you
that.
to imagine a cave diver while I was reading the words so that you could have a really adventurous experience.
That was very sweet.
She
Our
says,
friendy friend.
She says, P.S.
Oh.
I want my drink in person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Heck yes.
Yeah, Sandra, we will buy you a drink in person.
Of course.
100%.
And you can tell us the story behind Cave Girl.
We're going to need to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people find out we have a podcast and they want a little bit more information about that. And I always feel so awkward, like promoting work-related thing with friends
Yeah.
or like acquaintances or something. So sometimes we'll be in a group and someone will be like, well, Tiffany, you have a podcast about blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool, you should listen to it if you like podcasts. Yeah. But even though this is information that I think all women should have, it is not for all women.
No, for sure. I think that there's a specific type of woman that would feel comfortable, confident,
and enjoy.
Yeah, like actually soak in and enjoy the information.
Right. So I don't go around telling everyone like, hey, listen to my podcast where I demonize every single mainstream thing, and then you'll think about me differently every single time we hang out. But one fun fact has come to light recently. The head pastor of our church, who is a man in his 50s, I'm pretty sure, with 6 grown children practically, approached us recently and let us know that he too has been listening.
I don't blush easily, but he came up, and I mean, I've like known him for more than a decade. Like I know him, but like came up to me while I was getting coffee at church and was like, "Me, I was listening to your podcast," and immediately I'm like, I thought I was gonna like just overflow the coffee and just let it keep pouring, like in whatever, a show or something. And somebody else was there, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen you like actually blush." I just, for some reason, it just caught me so off guard. And my response was, "Oh, which one?" He was like, "Oh, it was about menstrual irregularities." And I listened for a few minutes and was like, "Why am I listening to this?" And I was like, "I don't know. Why are you listening to it?" But then I had to go back in my brain because I didn't know what kind of, we start each, as we were talking this earlier, like first 5 minutes of podcast, whenever we usually start talking about something that's maybe not related to what we're actually going to talk about. So I was like, what did we talk about on that episode? Because I literally had this thought of, he is listening to the story of your pubic hair filling up your fat. I'm going to actually die. And it wasn't. It was about,
oh my gosh.
It was about period underwear and our new recommendation, which, by the way, I took the recommendation and just had my first cycle with that period underwear. 10 out of 10 would recommend the Period Company underwear.
Yay!
I just took us on a roller coaster of emotions.
Oh my gosh, we have so much information in the intro.
First 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm so glad he didn't hear the pubic hair story.
It flashed in my brain and I was like, I just have to go back and make sure.
I mean, that's a good lesson for me, right? Remember in the very beginning of our podcast when we were trying to figure out like how much information to share so that it's relevant and factual and true and entertaining and really entertaining. We used to say, like, let's pretend like that pastor's wife is listening.
Yes.
That will keep us on track. Like, we're speaking to an older woman who would be happy to hear us talk about things in a certain way that we're like, you know.
That we could keep it like entertaining and true, but fun, yet not irreverent in a certain way.
Yes. Like not make it raunchy.
Yes.
Basically, right? But I need to think about who could accidentally stumble onto the podcast information as I'm putting my pubic hair stories online on the internet.
And my husband had to dig my pubic hair out of the hair catcher. That was good.
If that came up in a social situation, I would have a moment of embarrassment.
Yeah.
But then I probably would pretty quickly be like, yeah, hasn't that ever happened to you?
Yeah. Crazy, huh? Yes, of course.
Yeah. So, okay, moving on. I feel good about that.
Great.
I feel great about that. The reason it came up, the reason I think I was talking to another elder, the reason that he listened to our podcast is because somebody came to our church and said the reason that they were there is because they listened to our podcast. And so I think it got included in a meeting somewhere where they were trying to like talk about
what is this podcast about?
Where do people come from? Yeah. Where do the new people come from?
That's hilarious.
It's the podcast.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. What?
That's so good.
What joy.
It is good.
If you're local to San Diego or in North County, look up the Field. It's amazing church. Kelly and I both go. We love it there. We would love to see you there.
Other people listen to the podcast there too, clearly.
You are among friends. Among friends. Okay, I still want to read one more.
Yep.
Okay, this one's really, really good. 5 stars.
Already on a great track. And
the title's called Fun and Actionable.
Okay.
Ooh, I love that. And it's by Natalie H. 25.
Okay. I know who she is.
And this is what she says. Kelly. That's it. That's the entire That's the entire review.
5 drinks for Natalie H. 25. Thank you.
Natalie, we're not voting on your favorite host. That is not what this is for.
But I appreciate the vote of confidence she has in me.
Yeah.
Just my name. Not even Kelly is great.
Just Kelly.
Just Kelly. 5 stars, though.
5 stars.
5 stars for me.
And the title's good. Fun and Actionable Kelly.
That's me.
Natalie, we will buy you a drink.
We read your nice review.
We liked it. Kelly liked it especially.
We enjoyed it.
I'm slightly offended.
We're going to get one from somebody else. Just says.
Please. Please.
5 stars.
Let's see how many people.
Oh, this is so bad.
No, it's not.
Is it pitting us against each other?
We already do that to ourselves. That's fine.
If you want to put a 5-star review and put Tiffany's name and 100 of you do that, I will not be upset. 100 5-star reviews for my lovely friend. I'll take it.
And so will I. Something really cool happened in our practice a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yes, it did.
Oh, what is it? We opened up our appointment calendar to accept virtual consults.
Yes, which means you don't have to live near us to get certain types of care from us.
Yeah, you can get one-on-one virtual care where we can discuss and provide recommendations for tons of things. Preparing for pregnancy, issues that you're having in your pregnancy, issues that you're having with your period or just general health stuff. Making postpartum plans, birth plans, talking about all the stuff that we talk about on here. If you want one-on-one care, head to our website, beautifulandmidwifery.com, and click on the Work With Us tab, and you'll see all the options there. That would be fun to start to interact with people face-to-face that we are just talking at constantly.
Exactly. That feels like a lot of pressure. Got to, like, show up and be like,
oh, pressure
the people.
For us?
Yeah.
Well,
the people. I think we are the people.
We will not be this fun in the visit. We will be a little bit more serious. And so
we will be healthcare providers.
You'll be slightly like, why are you so serious? Why are you trying to only help me with this limited amount of time that I've paid for.
But no, we love being able to provide this kind of care and talk about these topics. And I love that we get to help more people than just the people who live right here. Great.
I love that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the best way to recover in postpartum is not using nutrition. Spoiler.
Yeah, so we're talking about nutrition today, and that's one aspect of it. But the biggest piece of postpartum recovery is for sure, by and large, rest.
Yeah, and if you want to see what those guidelines are that we give to our clients and that we urge all of our non-client postpartum women to follow, you can jump onto our Instagram. It's one of our pinned posts. That's how much we love it. It's at the top of our feed, and it gives our postpartum guidelines so that women can just be challenged in the concept of resting after they have their baby.
Yeah, and how much thought and planning goes into that kind of rest.
Absolutely. As we jump into using nutrition to recover from birth, I have a cool audio recipe.
I love a good auditory recipe.
Okay, and this one, the main ingredient is collagen, which is good for so many things: hair, skin, nails, gut health, joint health, your metabolism and blood sugar, heart health, tissue repair.
Yeah, collagen's a big one, especially postpartum, for sure. I mean, it's good in all seasons, but postpartum, it's a heavy hitter.
So I've got a really great one to share with you guys today. In fact, I gave one to Kelly.
She snuck one. I didn't know she was going to be sharing this.
I needed you to eat it so that you could say it doesn't taste bad.
No, it was delicious. It was just sweet enough, not too sweet. Felt hearty enough, but not like, like the crumbly, like balls, crumbly balls that fall apart. Yeah, they're great.
Okay, so this one I'm calling 1/2 collagen protein balls.
I bet I can guess why it's called one.
The 1/2 is the part that is going to stick in your brain, ladies.
Sticking there so good.
It's going to be so sticky. Sticky in your mouth and sticky in your brain. Okay, so the 1/2 collagen protein balls. We start with 1/2 cup of collagen peptide, 1/2 cup of nut butter. Are we following so far?
I understand. 1/2 cups of 2 items so far.
Then we move down the volume to 1/2 tablespoon of maple syrup or honey. And then we move down the volume one more time to 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract.
Easy.
1/2 cup collagen, 1/2 cup nut butter, 1/2 tablespoon syrup or honey, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And you could throw a pinch of salt in there if you want to, but I actually forgot, and you probably weren't thinking.
You know what this could have used is a pinch of salt.
I do love salt.
I do love a pinch of
well.
Salt. But I think probably maybe your nut butter was salted or something.
Oh yeah, great point. Yep. Okay. So as you're mixing the collagen and the nut butter together, it should form like a crumbly-ish paste, like not as mushy as a like cookie dough recipe or cookie dough, just cookie dough by itself.
Cookie dough.
It should not be that mushy. It's a little more crumbly than that, but that's the consistency that you're looking for, something that you can form into a ball. And if it seems like it's a little too crumbly, put a little bit more nut butter in it. And if it seems like it's too smooth and not going to hold shape, then put a little more collagen in it so you can kind of adjust the ratio that way. And then what I did is I rolled the balls in hemp seed. And so that just gives another good boost of anti-inflammatory and more protein and some good fat. But you can do anything. You can add chocolate chips. You can roll it in coconut. You can put raisins or nuts in it. It's all up to you how you want to dress it up. But super easy, extremely nutritious, no baking involved. And you just throw that in your freezer or your fridge, and you can just munch on a really healthy snack, whether you're postpartum or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like having stuff like that around too makes things so much easier when you have, especially postpartum, that you have something that you can just like grab super quickly, especially when you start to feel that like hanger coming on because your blood sugar is doing a thing, to have something super quick that you can grab that you're like, this is good fat, good protein all at once. And then you can kind of like wrap your brain around what you want to make for food. Always good to have that kind of stuff around.
Yeah. And kids love these little ball-y things too.
They love ball-y things.
Ball-y things. I mean, there's a reason that balls are like a toy that children like. They like balls.
Yeah. And one of their like first words, usually.
Ball.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. So feed this to your children also.
Great.
Postpartum is different than any other type of recovery.
Yeah, like you hurt something on your body or whatever. That's a different type of recovery than like actually everything that your body's been through for months and months and months.
Yeah, so it's not in your postpartum recovery, it's not like recovering from a cold, or it's not like recovering from some other kind of surgery or something else that would require recovery time. So if you have not done a postpartum before, you can't approach it the way that you would recover from other things, because you're recovering from birth. You're recovering from loss of blood volume. Your body is detoxing. You're recovering in order to start producing milk. You have stress with new responsibilities. You have a lack of sleep. You have a whole nother human to take care of that you don't even really know yet. And your hormones are regulating like crazy. So much so that when I share this fact with people, they lose their minds. 200% of the hormones that are circulating in your body before you give birth are in your placenta.
Which is insane.
So you lose that at the time of birth, and it takes about 3 days for your body to like kind of bottom out hormonally, which is where we get postpartum blues from. Yeah. Very normal to have a few days after birth feel particularly sensitive and a little extra weepy and overwhelming.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that like that's really when like the sleep deprivation super kicks in. You know, there's so many pieces that just kind of build on each other there.
It can be a lot.
For sure.
A lot. And when women are recovering postpartum, they're more prone to infection, either like internally because their bodies are run down, or externally because they're healing from a laceration. They're more prone to postpartum mood disorders. They're more prone to hormonal imbalances because there's so many shifts happening. And, you know, as I explain how postpartum recovery is different, you can see those that are aware of how hormones function. You can see how there's so many pieces there that can make hormonal shifts feel really drastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of like the talking points around postpartum end up being like, well, that's just how it is, you know, like just yet another thing. It's kind of like how when somebody's periods suck super bad and people are like, yeah, periods, those just suck, you know, and there's so many ways that we can support that and support so that, yes, those things can be hard, but we can alleviate some of those physical and emotional stressors on the body. And obviously we're talking about nutrition today, but overall, there's so much prep for what the baby's going to need, how to care for the baby, how to, you know, everyone wants to come over and is like, well, what's helpful is I can hold the baby for you, right? Everything kind of centers around baby, but there's so much care that can be taken for moms that I just think maybe it's a lot of people don't know, or we're just missing the mark. We know it and we're just missing it or something. But as a culture, we're not great prioritizing taking care of moms postpartum.
No, it's like it's kind of an uncomfortable space and it feels really private. And so it's not a place where we're already really terrible at leaning in people's private spaces, but that feels even more so like it's not a space for other people to be in on. But it has to be a space where support is invited and help is asked for, because we in this country, in the United States, we are dealing with extremely high postpartum mood disorder rates. 1 in 5 women are going to have some form of anxiety or depression after they have their baby that requires treatment.
Well, that's heavy.
That's a huge percentage of women. And we know that there's a lot that goes into the concept of preventing postpartum depression. And I don't know what our statistics are necessarily. Like, our clients don't completely escape postpartum mood disorders. We definitely take care of plenty of women who, even with a lot of support and guidance and making plans and prioritizing postpartum recovery well, still have some issues, but it's not 1 in 5.
No, definitely not. And I think part of that is a huge part of that, I think, is the preparation and the focus on it. Like, we're not trying to be like, well, if it comes up, let us know, right? We're actively like, this is a thing, and let's try to do what we can in order to support you, prevent those things, and help you flourish amidst a season that just is not known for flourishing and thriving.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting much better at talking about and normalizing postpartum mood disorders. So I feel hopeful about that. And I want women to make the connection that the part that can be helped, besides just brain chemistry, is the sense of overwhelm. You can get help in your life so that you don't feel so overwhelmed. The sleeplessness, sometimes that feels like there actually isn't anything to be done about that, but you can get help to strategize better on how you can get more sleep. And then what we're going to talk about today is nutrient deficiency, and that is something that probably women have the most control over in preventing complications from postpartum.
Yeah, which I think kind of blows people's minds. I think they kind of assume like, oh, take a supplement or take a thing, right? But the actual deficiencies, and it's just so easy to get depleted in pregnancy and while you're breastfeeding, just in postpartum in general. And I mean, something as simple as like trace minerals or something, we've seen that change people's entire like constitution. All of a sudden we're like, oh, you're actually here in the room with us because your body has just been giving symptoms, basically telling you like, something is not right. I need something. We need to be able to listen to that and give our bodies what we need.
Yeah, pregnancy and postpartum, or pregnancy, recovering from birth, and breastfeeding, I would say, are physiologically, which means occur naturally for a purpose, depleting seasons. No matter how on top of the pieces you are nutritionally, they are just naturally depleting. You had to build an entire human, just your own body, that had to come from somewhere. And then you lost tons of blood in a normal birth and postpartum. You're, shedding 50% of your blood volume, and you're making milk, like ounces and ounces of a substance that is going to nutritively sustain another human. So all this has to come from somewhere, and fueling your body inside of these deficient states is the absolute minimum of what needs to happen for women to walk through postpartum and feel like they've got somewhat of a sense of,
just being brought back together, just like being held by something. And I just recognize so much of like, right, even if you're just sitting on the couch all day nursing your baby, your caloric output is so stinking high. So you're already coming from this season of needing a lot to sustain you and your baby. And now you're in a season where you actually need more, and you're probably doing less. And so I think a lot of, the idea of just breastfeeding moms in general will get kind of ravenous, right? Like they just hungry. And it's the body being like, because we're working really hard. So what are you going to fuel me with? Right. And so being able to actually plan for those things, I think that is probably one of the biggest deficiencies that moms have in early postpartum. There are specific, minerals and whatever, but also just general caloric deficiency, energy deficiency, not giving themselves in postpartum.
Yeah, I would say if you're taking notes on this episode, number 1 is eat more.
Yes. I don't care if whatever your goals are for supporting your body after birth and getting back to your, pre-pregnancy weight or whatever, like you have to eat more calories.
You have to eat more calories.
Yeah.
So before you try to figure out what the best possible calorie could be, just start with volume.
Yeah, because all of a sudden you've spent 5 hours getting your baby to latch and unlatch, and you fell asleep, and then you went to the bathroom, and that took a little bit, and maybe even took a shower, which felt really luxurious, and then you went back, but now you're nursing again, and 45 minutes later after that, then you're realizing, gosh, I haven't eaten in like 6 hours, right? And so it really is about not only preparing for that, but just recognizing you need more.
Yeah, and the ravenousness, if you get to a point where you're so hungry that you are going to like lose it, you waited way too long. So if that's happening on a regular basis, even if you're not postpartum or you're not pregnant,
Yes,
you're not eating enough.
Yep.
Some other common deficiencies are iron, of course, especially if you go into birth anemic. And mineral deficiency is extremely pervasive, especially in our culture, because we're not eating mineral-rich foods. So how do minerals get into your body if you don't put them in there?
Yeah, absolutely. And our soil is a hot mess also. And so just the general minerals that we would often get from some of those things just aren't as readily available. Yeah.
In our own list of protocols that we share with our postpartum clients who are dealing with a little bit more anxiety or a little bit more depression or having trouble kind of negotiating some of those spaces because of mood, it's really common for us to discover that we have omega-3 deficiencies, folate deficiencies, vitamin B12, iron, calcium, selenium, and zinc are all really common and associated with mood disorders in postpartum. So that's the very first thing we go to when we're talking with moms who are having a particularly difficult time with postpartum.
Yeah. And like, obviously we always are like, the food version of these things are so important for your body to absorb whatever. But granted, postpartum, you don't always have the ability to plan as thoughtfully or get all of these things in every way. And so sometimes we're like, yes, of course, you need to take a supplement for these things to support your system and the deficiencies, then go right to it.
Yeah. And if you're pregnant and listening to this, or you plan to have a future pregnancy and are just making mental note, make it a point to go into your birth and spend a lot of your pregnancy being in surplus of these things.
Yeah, I will say I went into my third pregnancy. I wasn't anticipating getting pregnant, and I went into my third pregnancy depleted in pretty much every way. I was in midwifery school, so already just kind of surviving, and was working out way too much, probably not eating enough. That was kind of my coping mechanism of my stress with school. And when I got pregnant, my iron level, like all of my blood work, I looked at it and I was like, as a soon to be licensed midwife, I was like, this is terrible. This is like a hot mess. I spent my entire pregnancy trying to work on those things and never even quite got there. It all was just not quite right throughout pregnancy. And then into postpartum could absolutely feel that. And it took extra effort and all of that. So certainly in your pregnancy, if you have the ability to plan for said pregnancy, all of these things really do matter, and they do impact how you feel throughout your pregnancy, but especially going into your postpartum, it really is worthy to spend the time to assess what's going in your body and what your body is telling you it needs.
Yeah, and we're going to share some specific food ideas, and it will not surprise you that these are things that we have shared many times in lots of other spaces as we talk about nutrition. So I don't want anyone out there thinking that there's some secret to postpartum nutrition. More so, we're sharing on those nutritional concepts also apply and are also extremely important in this particular season for women.
Yes.
Let's jump into like things, the bare minimum of what women need nutritionally.
The bare minimum. Well, I think that if we're looking at like actual foundational things, one of the first things is actually hydrating your system and getting enough fluid, water intake into you, because the blood loss, the recovery, all of the things, right? The milk production, that your organ systems, all of it needs a solid amount of hydration.
Lots and lots of it. So if you are a postpartum person or you are someone who is around a postpartum person, their cup needs to be full all the time.
Literally and figuratively.
You will be the filler of the cup. Imagine what that could feel like, that you can fill someone's cup. That's one of the things we do at postpartum visits before we go. We make sure that moms have their cups full of water at their bedside. And so that's a very, very important part of recovery postpartum. My favorite thing, as you guys all know, is protein. And that goes for aiding with tissue repair, like perineal laceration. The amino acids inside of protein is what does that, but also internal repair. And red meat is especially high in heme iron, which is the type of iron that is most absorbable in the body, especially if you've experienced recent blood loss. And so that hits the top of my list, is like just getting enough protein in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd also say too, as you're like assessing what the food options that you have, to try, it gets hard when you have a meal train or something and like everybody's just bringing you hearty lasagna every night or something. Whenever I bring a postpartum woman a meal, I'm thinking a lot about like anti-inflammatory options in that, what kind of sourcing I'm doing for the food, bringing her colorful foods, right? Not just like beige carbs. Not that there's anything wrong with that, right? There's ease in that too, but bringing that into her life, because that's not always the easiest to just grab. And so kind of planning for that. And then a focus on gut health. So fermented foods, bone broths, things like that, that you can really encourage some good healing. So much happens in the gut in all seasons of life, right? But in postpartum, how much it helps in the recovery system, recovery process, but then also for mental health as well. Like so much of it starts in the gut. And so that's a huge help to be thinking about, like fermenting some foods for a postpartum mom, or doing that as part of your kind of meal prep. Yeah.
Well, and you brought up bone broth, which I think is extremely valuable, because some of the things that we want to keep in context with like optimal postpartum nutrition is having warm, well-cooked foods. So soups and stews, and utilizing that mineral-rich bone broth and collagen and fat-rich bone broth in some of those dishes is going to be the absolute best.
Yeah, for sure.
I also am a huge fan of planning ahead and doing some freezer meal prep.
Yeah.
Whether that just looks like you doubling up on your own meals in the last month of pregnancy and stashing in the freezer, or you ask some other people to do that for you. It's a great way to ask for help without getting people in your space and business, right? You can even send them recipes and say, this is a part of what I'm, trying to do to prepare for postpartum. And then you just have some good nutrient-rich foods that are ready to go.
Yeah, I went to a baby shower, I guess, for a mom who was on her second or third baby. I forget which one she did this for, but that was literally a meal prep party where we like brought certain things to, like, somebody brought like a ton of chicken or a ton of this or whatever, and it turned into different meals that we were able to prep beforehand. And it was super fun because we're all just chatting in the kitchen, like we, like kind of just hanging out with girlfriends, but we're like, oh, we're actually like helping her prepare. And by the time we were gone, her freezer in the garage was like stocked with really good hearty foods, but none of us spent more money than we would have if we went to a regular baby shower, each of us just bringing our own little ingredients. It was cool.
I love that. It was like so meaningful too, right?
Yeah, it was a sweet way to be like, this is actually going to be impactful versus a cute onesie, which is cute, but like not going to impact your healing in any way.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that emphasis on like, well, if we had a mom who felt like she was together and supported, that would probably trickle down to the baby being well taken care of also. How about that?
How about that?
The other thing that we like to emphasize a lot in postpartum is just whole foods, just real whole foods in their most natural state, and whole grains. So oats ends up getting incorporated into a lot of postpartum meals because it's a galactagogue, which means that it's naturally supportive of milk production, and postpartum moms just feel good about doing things for their milk production.
Yeah, absolutely. And that hits like so much, right? You can keep that warm. You can you can hide so much in oat. Like it's just, that's a great, little tip there. Keep in your back pocket.
Okay, so I want to provide a sample meal plan that makes these concepts extremely simple.
I like simple.
I like simple too.
Postpartum moms like simple.
Yeah, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say breakfast starts with some kind of fermented dairy.
Like kefir or something.
Yeah, it sounds freaky to say fermented anything, but there's so much cultured dairy that is actually not the same as sauerkraut. Like you can have cultured yogurt, you can have kefir, you can have cultured cottage cheese, a dollop of cultured sour cream. And these are things that you can make yourself or just buy at the store, buy at a health food store.
Yeah, I will say I'm still really working on my fermented item taste bud and palate, but fermented dairy, I'm great. Cultured dairy, fermented dairy, I can do it all.
Yeah, and so pairing that with some oats.
Mm-hmm. Great little breakfast.
You've got fat, you've got protein, you've got gut health, you've got whole grains. And then second breakfast.
Of course. Of course there is.
Which was already happening in pregnancy, so you will not miss a beat.
No.
And this would be a time for like eggs, avocado, nuts and seeds or nut butters on toast or something like that.
Yes.
I recommend having just some good whole food nut and seed options like at the bedside.
Yeah, that you can grab quickly or grab a spoonful of quickly.
Yes, because you are going to need something that's within reach in between meal times. Okay, and then lunch and dinners, for me, those all kind of just blend together.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not big on like an actual lunch. Like I eat lunch, but it's usually dinnery types of lunch.
Agreed.
Or
it's like
leftovers.
Or it's like a snacky charcuterie thing, which works really well for postpartum.
Yeah.
But having bone broth soups and stews that are heavy with meat, that's something that you can make a large volume of and have it in smaller portions throughout, 3 or 4 days. You can enjoy a really hearty stew or soup.
And you don't need to do a lot to make, like, just throwing it in the crock pot and it'll basically do it for you. Makes it super easy.
Yeah, embrace that, ladies. Please, please, please. And then another thing that I love to just have on hand for postpartum women is cut veggies and fruit. So just any assortment at all of something that has already been washed and trimmed and cut into a piece that can be poured into a bowl and just have raw veggies and fruit to just literally just pick up and munch on.
Yeah.
It's really important. And then lastly, collagen and prenatal supplements.
We're sneaking that collagen in there again because it's such a heavy hitter for sure. But then I think it's easy for things like supplements to kind of fall off the wayside because maybe you're not down in your kitchen where you normally keep them. And so usually what we end up recommending to moms is like to put them next to your bedside or get one of those little, weekly pill things that maybe your grandma once used, but setting that right next to your bed so that you're actually taking the things so you can stay on track with that.
Yeah, and we want women to continue the same supplements that they were taking prenatally for the most part. Sometimes supplementation can feel really confusing. And maybe you don't know what we recommend prenatally, so you don't know that you need to keep taking them. But we have solved that problem for our listeners.
We are problem solvers and such givers. We actually have, surprise, a freebie for you that is specific for supplements for the postpartum period. And so that is in the show notes. You'll get 5 of our most commonly recommended supplements in there, and also 4 other kind of consider these if in these situations to kind of have on hand. It is a really helpful little tool for your toolkit in your preparation for your postpartum season.
Yeah, and we cover all the things from physical recovery to mood support. We tell you exactly how much to take, why you would consider taking that, and where to get a good quality supplement. So we know you ladies will eat that up.
Eat it up. Literally.
Yeah, like just shove it in your mouth and swallow it.
Yum. We did say at the beginning of this episode
some 40 minutes ago that there was going to be some information about a postpartum hormone master class that we have coming up.
Yeah, we just last minute decided there was a lot of information that we wanted to share on this topic. And we got a ton of questions from women who have been through our hormone reset program that they want information specific to postpartum. And so we thought, easy, let's just make a class for it. So this is a free class. It is on Friday, March 17th, 4 days from now.
Ooh.
If you're listening on a Monday.
Yeah.
Which I would say about 50% of our listeners listen on a Monday.
Good job, you Monday go-getters.
And it is for every single mom. It doesn't have to be somebody who's in a postpartum, but someone who just is not feeling quite herself after birth, no matter how long that has been.
Mm-hmm.
I say I'm in perpetual postpartum. I'm in a 12-month postpartum season.
Yeah,
12 years. Sorry,
it's a thing for sure. I don't know when exactly you'd say you're not in postpartum, meaning this class is for you.
Yeah, so please join us. We're gonna have a lot of fun. It'll be a cool chance to connect too, because it'll be like video and targeted information, and we've got action guides and fun stuff like that for you guys. Specifically, we're going to go over normal and abnormal hormonal shifts in the postpartum time and how to know when you need more help. And we're going to talk about the 5 postpartum, what we call like sneak attacks, things that can come up in postpartum that are actually kind of common but can take you off guard if you don't know what they are, to help with hormonal balance. And then we go through 3 of the most important things that new moms can do to be proactive and prevent fluctuations, so that you're not in a season of vulnerability, that you can kind of get some tools on board to plan ahead on. And we're going to learn how to use natural tools for postpartum hormone balancing, like herbs and supplements, homeopathy, that are safe for breastfeeding. So we get safety on breastfeeding, things for natural supplements all the time. And so we're going to share all of these that are safe for breastfeeding. And then women who attend this masterclass are going to leave with a personalized postpartum action plan for hormonal regulation, which of course you guys know hormonal regulation just sweeps across every single system in the body. So when we're regulating and balancing our hormones, no matter what season of motherhood we're in, we are doing that for whole body holistic health.
Yeah, I just love that postpartum can sometimes feel like it's just like that season just happening to you. But what we want you to leave with is like, here's how you can step into your control over some of these pieces. We can't tell you how your postpartum is going to go, how your baby's going to be, the issues that will come up, but we can equip you to enter into that season or be in that season where you're kind of confused and left somewhat in the dark, that you actually can exert a lot of change into your system and into your life. And that's just really empowering. Like, I wish I had something like this before I had my first baby, just how different I think things would have really felt. And so, yeah, we want that. We want that for you.
And if you're hearing this and it is really far past Friday, March 17th of 2023, know that if you are on our email list, you will always get up-to-date information about these kinds of things and have the opportunity to jump on them. And so if this is something that you would have been interested in if you heard it in time, just jump on our list. You know that we're going to share these things with everybody who's in email, and you can find that in the show notes. You can find the sign up for our postpartum hormone class in the show notes. And you can find our supplements for postpartum freebie in the show notes.
Dude, these show notes.
The show notes are a treasure trove.
They're pulling their weight this week. Got a lot going.
So we hope that we get to see you guys there on Friday. And if not, we hope that we'll see you back here on Monday to talk about something else completely unrelated.
We will catch you next week.
Bye.